Recently, I had the privilege of chatting with Bruno Marc, a London-based hairdresser who is absolutely incredible. Bruno Marc is the partner of Marc Antoni's salon, which celebrates 50 years in the hairdressing industry. I first was introduced to Bruno in Australia when he was a team mentor for the British Fame team. He's an amazing hairdresser who gives from the heart and loves his craft. This interview is all about team building and how to create a wonderful team. This year alone, the team celebrates 4 finalists in the British Hairdressing Awards. Grab a coffee, sit down and relax, while Harry chats to Bruno Marc. Hi everyone, it's Sharon Blaine here, and I have the most amazing pleasure of sitting here having a chat with Bruno Marc. The one thing I wanted to do was have a chat with Bruno, because I met Bruno in Australia some years ago now, and he was with the Fame team, and I thought, my God, that's a massive dedication out of the salon, looking after this team of people, bringing them to Australia. And as I followed his journey, the thing that probably has struck me most is how creative his team was and how great he is with a team. And this year, I was unbelievably excited that you guys had won the Salon Team of the Year for the British. I thought, is that your first time?
Second.
That
we've won Artistic.
And, I was just so thrilled, because you guys are late starters in the competition world. You've got successful salons. You've got an amazing team of people that have been with you for such a long time. How do you keep a team going for so long? How do you keep their enthusiasm? And how do you create a winning team like you've done? So,
for me, my training, my background, I trained at Allen International in London. And it was very good training with them, the Malvin Griffin brothers. And they basically taught me all about hair and face shapes, which was really interesting, because then I went on to Sassoon's and they taught me about hair, and a certain haircut fitted that hair.
Yes.
And face shape didn't come into play.
No, it was what was in fashion at the time.
Exactly.
Wasn't it?
If they had thick hair, they had this, or they had a halo, they had a bob, they had a graduation. It was all about the haircut suiting the actual hair texture. So I'm glad that I had the background of Allen International, because it was all about face shapes and what I learned. And then I went and opened up my first salon when I was 20 years old.
That's pretty gutsy, isn't it?
Yeah. I came from a background where I played semi-professional football, and I was always a football player. So when my football never worked and I came into hairdressing, for me it was all about winning all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to enter all the little local competitions and we used to win. But I called in a company when I was young called IFG, which is Independent Franchise Group, and they taught me how to run a salon. And I expanded and went to 7 salons within 10 years quite quickly.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that's a dream that most people would only ever dream about, isn't it?
And what they did teach me about is make sure you spend time on the education.
Yeah.
So we always did a whole morning, not an evening when the kids were tired. We always did from 9 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock training.
That makes good sense, doesn't it?
And we did that every week. And as they grew, the only reason I expanded my company is because I was growing organically.
Yes.
And that was the importance of the training. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be growing organically. So as they were coming on, I was opening up more salons.
So the training would, did you have it allocated in a sense where you had certain groups learning certain things, or did you train them as for their skill level?
We taught them all the same, but basically if people got it quicker, then they moved on quicker. We didn't say, right, it's going to take you a year, 2 years or whatever. Once you're capable of doing a set of foils or a colour, you're on the floor. It's all about the timing.
Right.
And as long as you're neat, and that's how we pushed it. And basically we gave them, they earned half of the take. So in other words, if you as a stylist, you couldn't fit in your client for a colour, but Jane could fit it in, Jane would get half, you would get half because she's your client. So we built things like that into play, and it helped grow the youngsters quickly and helped grow our team.
Wow. How many did you have on your team?
In my salon, we've just booked our Christmas party just for 98. So
oh my God. Now that's expensive.
But do you know what? It works out at like £50 each. So it's about £5,000.
It's not much over the
and
year.
if you to give them that in a card, they wouldn't appreciate it. But
No.
we run it as an awards night.
Yes.
So, and we always do it the first Saturday after New Year. So it's Saturday the 5th of January.
Yeah.
And all the juniors have a competition. So we have the first years and second years have a competition. They all present their models. They get awards, and we have Salon of the Year, Stylist of the Year, Retailist of the Year, all those things. And it gives everyone a buzz. And the big one at the end is the Salon Team of the Year, which has done the biggest turnover on their previous year.
Oh, okay. So you're really a businessman first and foremost.
First and foremost, it was always a business for me, because I could see, I loved doing the job, but I never set out to be a millionaire in a hairdressing. I set out, and I always say this to my team, if you love what you do, doors open.
Yes.
And as I was more successful at things, I got in with bigger companies. I started going to the States with Robert Labetta, being Sebastian Advocate for them. Then when Weller was taken over, they moved me into the System Professional brand, so I became their System Professional ambassador. I started doing Fashion Week, lead stylist on Fashion Week. But I'm not very good at taking orders. That's the biggest thing with me.
You need to be the boss.
Always in control. So when I've got to share things and they say, oh, you've got to go and work with this style and do this, this and this, I prefer not to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm the boss, because I run a lot of teams and I listen to what they say. But when I don't respect someone that's working alongside me, you know, for example, you're amazing at what you do. I look at your work, I've got your videos, everything. And the Fame team, you were one of my first people that I wanted them to experience with when we came to Australia. But you've got to have that mutual respect. But if I see people in the industry that I'm teamed up with on certain events and I'm like, I don't respect what you do, or you're not of my, then I don't. Glad.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Isn't it just so important to be able to build respect within the industry? You don't have to be famous for doing anything kitschy. You just have to actually prove your worth, skill worth.
Yeah. And I think like all the British guys that are nominated for British, I know them all, they're all my friends.
Yes.
And they're all good friends. But for me, the actual British award is not an award which I will play the game to do.
Yeah, and it is a game, isn't it?
It's a game. It's a game. And Jane Lewis always said to me, Bruno, if you want to come and have a meet, we can talk about how you could get nominated. And I feel it shouldn't be like that.
No.
It should be on what you've done.
Yeah.
You know, I've won my region Southern Hairdresser 3 times. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I've won Artistic Team twice, where people that are nominated for British haven't even won our Artistic Team, which that is one of the biggest. Yeah. Other than British, that is the biggest to do. Yeah. So I don't understand.
It's a bit of a shame, because of course it's very different for us in Australia how it works. You just do an entry and throw your hat in the ring. And may the best man win. And the same, I know, when I judge the American awards, it's the same thing. It's the best man wins. I think sometimes the nomination thing is a little, I don't know, from my perspective, it appears a little biased.
Well, I just think anyone can get a nomination.
Yes.
So how they do it now, you can get a nomination, there can be 100 people on that list.
Yes.
Then those people that are nominated then go to another panel, which choose the 8.
Oh, gosh.
Which I never understand, you know, how that 8 is dwindled down. And normally it's the same 8.
It's the same 8.
9 out of 10
pretty much
times.
most of the times, isn't it?
I mean, bless him, Errol was a great friend of mine, but 23 years.
Yes.
I'm not that type of person that would do that.
I
would do 3 years. If I haven't done it or won it by 3, 4 years, I'm gone.
Well, I've done an interview with Errol last week, 2 weeks ago, and like he's more power. But he's got that ability to keep pushing through.
When we were there on the night and we were backstage and I was with him, he said, I'm never doing this again, Bruno. I said, you promised me, so I'm never doing this again. I said, okay. I telephoned him, we had a conversation the day after. How are you feeling then? He said, oh, not too bad. I said, so you're never doing it again? He said, oh, yes, I am.
But you know what? I reckon that's amazing.
I think it is.
I think it is, because
amazing.
I think sometimes you feel when you get on in your career, and I definitely
But you know,
feel
he's
this.
won more awards than any hairdresser in Great Britain.
I know.
He is more famous than any UK-based hairdresser I know. When we go abroad, everyone knows Errol Douglas.
Yeah.
Other than Patrick Cameron, those two.
Yeah, they're
now
up there.
the Sassoon, God forbid, is died. They're one of the 2 worldwide hairdressers that are known, Australia, the States, wherever they go, you know, they are like bowed down to.
That's right.
I find it incredible. And I said to him, why do you need it?
But what would you need to have personally, creatively challenge yourself to create something. And that is what his thing is. It's like him pushing, like he's come up with 23 amazing collections, none of them have won. But the reality is, when you get on in time, there's something inside you that keeps driving you. And if you turn that car engine off, so what is it for him anymore? You know, and I think that's what keeps him going.
Yeah.
Is that creative drive that he keeps coming up with something and doing something and you know, really believing in what he's doing. And I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
So how did you guys feel when you won the team?
Well, we won it in 2014. And we've entered artistic team 4 times.
Right.
And we've won it twice.
Wow.
And it was incredible the first time we won it. And when this year we were nominated for Colourist of the Year, we were nominated for Southern and Artistic, but it was artistic team we wanted was the one. And Tony and Guy's table was 2 tables in front of ours. And the previous 3 awards before artistic, Tony and Guy won all 3.
Yeah, they did very well, didn't they?
Yeah, they won London, they won Newcomer,
Avant-Garde.
and they won Avant-Garde.
Yeah.
And then it went on to artistic team, and my brothers were on the table and they said, Tony and Guy are going to win that as well. I said, have faith, because like you and myself, I know what looks good and what is good work, and I have to judge these awards as well.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, they're not going to win. We're going to win artistic. I was 100%. I said, what we've done is artistic. We've got intricate work in there. We've got haircuts. We've ticked all the boxes.
Yes.
And of course, they never sat down because they'd won 3 awards. So they all still stood up
waiting
filming.
for the next one.
and then when she called out the winner, and it's a standing joke because in 2015, when we were nominated for artistic team again, Mark Leeson, who's a real good friend of mine, he won.
Yeah.
But they called out Mark and we all jumped.
Oh, I had that with the Sharon Ma once.
Yeah, and she said Leeson, so we all had to sit back down.
Oh, I had that once too.
So we've always said, now wait until Jane or whoever calls out says Anthony.
Yes.
Not just Mark, because it could go Leeson. And I'm just there like this, and she said Mark, and I'm waiting. Then when she said Anthony, the whole team went crazy.
Yeah.
And it was good because when we went up on stage, all our juniors that came and bought their own ticket, £200+ a ticket.
Oh, that's like
I said,
a month's wages.
Yeah, and they were like 18 years old, 17. I said, come on, get on that stage with us. And they came on stage with us, and they were blown away. Yeah. And it was, you know, going back to the salons, and that's what I mean about the team thing. Yeah. It's so important that you nurture these youngsters and they have a taste of it. So they were like, and now that non-stop talking about, we were on the stage with Bruno and the team, and oh my God, and we were in the pictures. And, you know, that's what it's about.
Oh, it's just, and you know what? Money doesn't buy that.
No.
Weekly bonuses, you know, all the stuff you can give them. Yeah. That's something that'll be there for them, and particularly as they're so into the photos and to the you know, the Instagram, you know,
and I
the
think
special moments.
What's good is the guys that manage my salons, because they've all come from juniors and now in their 30s. They know my ethos. So there's no, you know, iron team. Everything is about the team. They're not about getting themselves out there. They're always pushing the next person. Yeah. And I always say to them, how you can prove your worth now to me is make another Dan or an Elton do what I've done. Like you guys have been brought up to this and everyone knows you. Now you make another one in from your team. Yeah.
And so how many did you have on the art team?
There's 5 of us.
Just 5?
Yeah, 5 guys. We used to have 2 girls, but sadly they both went pregnant and didn't want to come back into the artistic side because it's a lot of work. We travel a lot. I do a lot of private work where I don't work with the manufacturer. So we go out from London to Ireland, all over the country, and then I've got, like I did the big milkshake show independently, the Italian company, they contacted us to do that. So we went to Rome, and then we do this massive China one. Really? Which is in Xiamen, China, every year at their Salon International, which is for 10,000 hairdressers.
Gosh, that's actually a good number for it. Well, Yeah, we have 10,000, I think, in
we're
Australia.
In a football stadium.
Expo.
It's in a football stadium. It is huge.
Yeah,
And it was our 7th year this year. And next year is they're 11-11, so it's been going 11 years, because this year was 10. So next year's going to be even bigger and better, and they've already booked us for next year.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
But they invite other people from other countries. So every year we're there, we're with someone else. But that other company never ever goes back, because they've got a little niche, whereas we do everything.
Yeah, you can cut style.
We can cut style, hair up.
And dress.
And they love their haircuts. You know, the Chinese, they're really into their Sassoon shapes, their colours.
Yeah.
So we do a show like that, and then we do, like this year we did a catwalk show, so it was all very catwalk hair, braids, hair up, ponytails, all very London-y.
How do you come up with the ideas? How do you manage that?
My guys work Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Because I won't do that no more. And just because I find it's a young person's game, you know, and as a straight male, when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, all the girls love you. You're great. When you're in your 50s, you're like this sad old guy.
Oh, it's only your opinion.
No, but that's how I feel, you know.
How do you think I feel at this age?
I know, but so I quit doing that and doing lead stylist and stuff, and that is not my bag anymore. Dan and Alton, they love it. I mean, Dan's been to Paris with Eugene, and it's good, and they like it. But now they've got kids, and they're both married, and so now they don't tend to do as many jobs because none of these jobs get paid. I mean, this is what annoys me about the British hairdressing.
It's the same everywhere.
It's the only industry where you get mugged. You know, you will get a session stylist that will say, "Oh, I want helpers on X Factor," and everyone goes and helps and does X Factor, so he gets all the applause and he gets the wage, and they get, "Oh, I had a picture with Robbie Williams," or I had and they do it for nothing. And I think this is wrong.
Look, for as long as we will do it for nothing, we will always get nothing.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is, when I step down from it, there's another 30, 40, 50 people that will do it.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
they all want to get on the road.
And Fashion Week, you know, it doesn't put bums on seats.
No.
I've been there. It doesn't grow your clientele at all. But people, when I comment on it, because I wind people up when it's Fashion Week, because there's people I know like Caroline Saunders and all these hairdressers that own their own salon, and they will step out their salon Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and go and work at Fashion Week for their manufacturer Label M. So I say, how much are you getting paid? That's my first question. Nothing. Why are you doing it? Oh, it opens doors. What doors does it open? Does it open a door where it's got money behind it? They all want to be this fashion guru, but it's a bit like a professional footballer. There's only a handful that make it.
That's right.
The Eugenes, the Tylers. Yeah. You know, there are a few, and everyone else is, I hate to say it, is kind of the bitch.
It's a bit of a shame. You know, I was looking at a portfolio of mine with all my editorial work that I've done at home, and everyone's saying, you know, at that period of time, and we were discussing it, and say, oh my God, you've got so many tears, you've got so much editorial work. So do you know how much money I got for those? Like not a cent. No. Not a cent. And now I, you know, like anything, I wouldn't, you know, look, I love to do the magazine stuff, but you know, at the end of the day, they're telling you how to do it, what to do, giving you pressure. You know,
how they want the curl, how they want this,
how they want everything. So what's to be gained? And most of the time, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to put your name on the bottom of it. So you know, it could be anyone.
But even with the everything digital now, everybody now is doing it for nothing, which I find is quite sad. The only person I think is really clever at the digital is Patrick, because he puts a little bit at the beginning. And then you want the rest.
Better go and pay for it.
Sign up and pay, and that's how it should be. I was teaching a guy in here for 2 days barbering course. Great lad. Says overcomb work was good, really good. So I said, what salon do you work in? I don't. What do you mean? I've never worked in a salon. Who taught you that barbering? I learned it myself. How? Off YouTube. He said, and I do all my friends there, and I've taught myself. He said, but I thought I'd come here, get my certificate signed off with you, and now I can go get a job as a barber. And it's like, this is where the young people are going, which we're not going to stop it.
No.
But I think these big companies like Mahogany's, like the Wellers, like all the manufacturers, they all now want us to start doing videos and putting it out there for free so that people can learn. I just think, what is the point of that?
I think we have to stop giving free education.
We do.
Because I think who's getting it's the general public that are that are doing it, which are causing us headaches, because they're then walking into the salon knowing everything, supposedly.
You go on YouTube, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but these balayages, since we've been balayaging.
Oh my God.
And you see the kids that have done it themselves, they've got a line, stripe.
Yeah.
But the amount we sort out, but because it's all on YouTube and it's made to look so easy.
Yeah.
You know, they plait their hair themselves, they put it up, everything.
Yes, they do everything. Yeah. And I think one of the sad things is that the younger generation thinks that's it. That's what they need to know. And this is why I think we're getting a lot of delusional hairdressers, young kids kicking off, because they've been watching YouTube and different clips like this until they got into the industry. Then all of a sudden they think, I only have to slap a bit of bleach on the ends of this hair, and that's how I do the colour. And I'll just take an electric clippers on a dry haircut and just buzz the bottom of that off. Or do a half a dozen braids and whip them up into some hot mess. And they think that's all they need to know, because that's all they're seeing anyhow. And then when they have to learn proper technique and technical skills and become proficient in precision cutting, they throw their hands up in the air because they think it's all too hard. And that's why I think in Australia we're not growing a generation of hairdressers at the moment. I don't know if the same happens here.
It's poor here. I mean, I used to be able to, with each of our salons, every school leave term, we'd get a dozen or more come for the jobs. Now, I'm lucky if I get one or two. We normally take on 2 every year in each salon, so we have 10 new ones. But I'm lucky if I get 2. And when I do get them come in, they grunt.
I know.
I have to teach them how to talk. It's like they would sit the client down, for example, the other day. Do you want a drink? What do you want? It's like, Fabio, can I have a word with you? It's, would you like a cup of coffee? Would you like a cup of tea? Orange juice? You know, you have to go through everything. My art team, we teach in colleges, and once every other month, we give the college, the hairdressing college, a free day. And we don't skim, but we take in 6 models. Yeah. We turn up, there's normally 3 of us, minimum 3 of us, and we do 2 cutting demonstrations each, and then we do hair up. So we take models with us to all these young kids. The reason I do it, Sharon, is I'm hoping they will come to me. But when you go in these colleges, they are the lowest of low. The kids are from broken families. They've got mental issues. They are,
we're just not attracting.
No, not at all.
A calibre.
Not at
all, are we? Do you think they think hairdressing is a dead end job?
It is bred in the schools that is a dead end job. We went to a school, Rice Green School in Woodley. They asked us to do a careers evening, so we went along. We had 2 young girls, 2 young guys, all in black, immaculate. We put all boards up like this with all our imagery. We sat there, our stand we thought looked, the best. Out of all these kids, no one came to us. We had 3 we had. And all 3 of them asked the same question, 1 guy and 2 girls. And the guy came, I said, so what makes you feel you want to do hairdressing? Well, they told me it was either do chefing or hair because my grades are not very good. That was the guy. The 2 girls asked exactly the same question, why do you want to be a hairdresser? They said, well, Mrs. May said that I should do either hair or beauty because my grades are not going to be good. And that was the same. So then later on in the evening when we were packing up and we'd had no one come to us, it was a total waste of time. The headmaster came over to me and said, how's it gone? I said, absolutely awful. And I said, what are you telling these children in this school? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, basically the ones that have come to me have said it's because they're virtually dumb, stupid and not going to make grades, and they were told by their teacher, and Mrs. May of one, that hairdressing or chefing or beauty is what is good for you. And he turned around and said to me, this was the part that got me, he turned around and said to me, well, the problem is they want to be on more than £12,500 a year. And then I fired back at him in front of my team. I said, £12,500 a year? Who's on £12,500 a year? He said, well, isn't that going rate for a hairdresser? I said, honestly, and you're the headmaster of this school and you haven't got a clue what we pay. shouldn't you know what the average hairdresser earns? I said, my average hairdressers earn £30,000 a year. My top ones earn 50. And then when we went out in the car park and we were packing everything away, we had £250,000 worth of cars, 3 cars, which we had parked up. And he was getting into an old Mondeo. And I started to film it because I was going to have a YouTube and an Instagram rant. And the team said, Bruno, don't do it. But that's the way they think it all goes. They look at us as down there, and it hasn't changed.
God, and you know, I think of the job that I have, and I'm on the road for like 7 months of the year. My partner's with me at the moment, and we've just been traveling. And he said, you know, I can understand when you come home, you know, how flat you must be to be visiting all these amazing countries and doing this work. And, you know, then coming back to our little suburb in Sydney. And it is, there's no doubt about it. That is a bit of a challenge. But look at the life, even and for 54 years of hairdressing, look at the life I have and the career I still have and still enjoy today.
How do we translate that to the youngsters?
I think we've got to sell them more options than I think they think it just stops in the salon and sweeping the floor. Now you guys are opening the door for more options. You look at your team, you've got this fantastic art team that travels the world. You know, do these young kids know what's possible? All they know is they're not doing well at school.
Yeah, but then when I've actually had this argument with the headmaster and said, but they can travel the world, they can be a colourist, they can be an educator, they can, oh, that's your salon, but the majority of salons are not like that. And they always throw that in the mix.
Yes, you know? But if that person has any nous about them, they wouldn't be in those salons to start with. I would think they would choose the right salon. Look, I admire any salons that can pick up some good quality staff, young kids coming through that have their head on their shoulders, that actually are driven and want to do that. It's a shame because years ago you nearly have to beat everybody off with a stick. I remember when I was applying for my first job, I was actually in a queue outside the salon door and halfway up the block in the queue waiting to hand my application in.
Yeah.
And then I was told I wasn't going to be successful there because I wasn't tall enough and I was left-handed. So that's how they could flick me out the door. But, you know,
oh my gosh,
that's how
I heard that one before.
That's how it used to be.
Yeah.
And so now it's just totally done the... it's got to turn around.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
So tell me, what's next for you guys?
We've got some big stuff coming up in the new year. We've got 11 international dates for the art team. So we're away a lot next year working, which is really good. We're going to India again, which is a lovely, humbling place.
Yes,
Mumbai.
I'd like to go to India actually.
The kids there, I mean, they've got nothing.
No.
And you just want to give them everything. And we're off to Italy. So yeah, we're busy doing shows. And this year we had a good year because we finished off with the alternative hair show.
Yes.
And then the artistic team. And I raised a lot of money for leukemia anyway because my brother's got leukemia.
Because you're doing the bike riding,
yeah,
aren't
I've done that 5 times.
Wow.
And we raised over £200,000 for leukemia. But it's quite personal to me because my brother, who's 18 months younger, has got leukemia, and that was why we got involved. And 3 years ago, Tony Rizzo said, why don't you do the alternative? But it's always at Salon International.
Yes.
That's when we're our busiest because we're working for our
it's very hard
manufacturer.
To do both, isn't it?
But this year we did it, so we took out the whole Sunday, didn't do any shows at Salon, and we went and did the alternative.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience, and I would do it again, but it's a big commitment.
Yes, it's huge.
It's a big
I know
commitment.
doing a show like that, just coming up with the goods and getting the fashion and the clothing and the hair and everything else right, it does make a huge, it's a massive job, isn't it?
You know, it costs a lot of money, again. Whereas when I do shows at Salon International, they're a breeze.
Yeah.
You do a few models, but with the alternative we had 5 pros, 6 pros we had. 6 pros, which are like £500 each for the day. Yeah. Then you've got the clothes styling, then I had choreography, then I had special screens, makeup. Before I know it, 7,000's gone like that.
I know. Actually, you've probably done pretty well for $7,000,
well,
to be honest.
Well, some people, there was a guy there from America, and I think he couldn't have spent 700, let alone 7,000. He had this woolly old cloth on. He got these afro wigs, and they literally walked out with afro wigs, then took them off and walked out with their normal hair. It was
no.
It was very...
A little disappointing.
Yeah, it was very and then he said, oh yeah, I'm just flown in and I'm going off to do this. And I was like, gosh.
Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have come.
Yeah, some people
that
put the effort
doesn't
in,
put
and
him
some
in a
people
good light,
don't
does
put
it?
the effort in.
So young people that have this whole thing about starting out in business, you know, like you started at 20, that's pretty ridiculous because some people are still at school at 20, aren't they? You know, have you got any little pearls of wisdom for people that are in business today? Some of the things that you think would be important.
The one thing I was always told, whatever you're not good at, employ someone who's better than you at it.
Yeah, I like that one.
And in business, because I never had a clue in business, when I opened up my first salon, it was about, if I had all these chairs filled, then I've got a great business.
Yeah.
When actually that's not the case.
No.
And so I employed people that told me how to run my business, and I took advice. The one thing is with me, I will take advice from people I respect and people that I know that they can do the job that I can't. So that is really important to me. Don't let your ego be in the way and think I can do it and I don't need them.
Yeah.
Always open the door and always go and ask. And that's what I've always done.
Yeah.
Wherever I was weak, I'd go and ask. When I first opened my salon, I was a cutter. I didn't colour. I was only a cutter. That's what I put on myself.
Of course, that's how it was.
Yeah. Now I do colour, I do everything, hair up, everything. You know, I mean, when I come back from Australia with your CDs, I was all over them like a rash. And then showing them to the team, all these techniques. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And I always used the phrase, when you've seen it, it's simple when you know how.
Yes.
But until you know how, it's not simple.
No.
You know, it's like seeing something for the first time, think, oh my gosh, that now I know how that's done.
That wasn't so hard after all.
Exactly. But it's like, and I always say that to my team, we learn, we share, and we learn some more. And the other phrase I always use them is simple when you know how.
Yeah.
You know, because until you know, it's bloody miles away and it's so difficult and all these things are going on in your head.
Yeah.
But I've never been scared to ask.
No.
And I remember working with the likes of Patrick when we've done shows together, and when we've come backstage, I've said to Patrick, can I take your hair out? He said, oh, Bruno, don't be ridiculous. I said, no, please, let me take it out. Because when I take it all down, I can see how it's all done.
Yeah.
And mentally that helps me. He said, well, fine if you want to. But I wasn't embarrassed to do that, whereas a lot of other people would be.
Yes, of course.
And it's things like that that
that's
help you
probably
learn.
why you've got so many great mates in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pretty much, you know, the industry that we know it, like the key people here are your nearest and dearest, virtually, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I know, do you know what? They're all my friends, but I always do say to the people that don't understand, this is just 1% of our industry. It's a little gang. The BHAs, the fellowship is very small.
Yeah.
You know, you've only got 1,700 people in those British Hairdressing Awards. Well, that's not even 1% of our industry.
No, of course it's not.
But everyone looking from the outside thinks that is the super elite. And I always use this equation. Once you come out of there and you go on the street, who won British? No one has a clue who they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's for us.
Yeah.
It's for us hairdressers. It's motivational for the team. And as long as you understand that, but don't when you go outside think you're walking on air and you're like God, because you're not like that. Yeah. Because when I'm training in this studio, and I train here a lot, I always say to the salons that come from Doncaster or from up north, if Marc Antoni or Hobb opened up there, we're nobody. Your Rainbow Salon, that's what everyone knows.
Yes.
That's the #1 salon in that town.
That's right.
And I try and build them up like that. But people think they're in awe of us. Yeah, actually, we're only in our little town.
Yeah.
Marc Antoni and Henley is the #1 brand.
Yes.
If I was to take it somewhere else, I wouldn't be the #1 brand.
Yeah.
So you just got to get the reality check with it all.
Yes.
And know.
Yes.
And that's what I always say to these youngsters.
Yeah.
They should know that where they are in their salon, because a lot of them, when they come to London and have the teaching, they feel they've got to leave that salon from wherever they are, Leicester, Birmingham, Manchester, and come to the bright lights, when actually they don't have to.
No.
You know, I worked in London in Hammersmith, and I went away from London to Henley to open up my first salon, and I remember Richard Ascroft, who now owns Seiko. He was at Sassoon's for many years, and he left Manchester to go to Sassoon's, and he said, you'll never do it unless you're in London. And that was in my ears, and I thought, well, I'm going to go out of London. I'm going to prove I can do it.
Well, you know, I don't think, I mean, I think they say location, but to be honest, I don't know how much money you make in the City of London.
The rent's horrendous.
Yeah.
When I won a few awards, like everyone else, it pumps up the ego, and I thought, I've got to have a salon in London. And then Terry Calvert was a really good friend of mine. You know Terry, because he went to Australia. And he had a salon in London. It went bust because he was in Watford, and he did the same thing. After winning artistic team, he opened up a salon in London. It went bust. And he said, Bruno, stay away from London. He said, because the rents are treble, whereas where I am, I'm paying like 30. If I was in town, I'd be paying 90.
Yeah.
You know, the prices, you charge a little bit more, but are you really making? And most people that work in London now, they all do the rent-a-chair so they can avoid the VAT.
Yes.
Because that's a big enticement as a salon owner.
Do you do team incentives with your teams?
All the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think that's a good way to manage the team's productivity?
I would like all my team to be motivated by, but they're not.
They're not motivated by the money?
No. Some are motivated by they want to go off down the coast in their camper van with their dogs for the weekend. So I give them a weekend off and let them do that instead of the money.
Yeah.
The ones that are motivated by the money, they're easy.
Yes.
You know, because I can set them there, plan, this is what you've got to do, this is how many colours you have to do, this is how many haircuts you do.
Yeah.
You want to earn this amount, blah, 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 blah. That's
how you
easy.
do it. Yeah.
But a lot of them don't. A lot of them like the job.
Yeah.
They want to be creative. They don't want to be pushed.
Yeah.
And they just happy just plodding along. So it's horses for courses.
Does that worry you?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Tell me, what about the situation where, you know, you've got those staff that they come in, they just want to work 9 till 5. They don't want the after-hour activity. They don't want to be involved in stuff. You know, you sort of, I know when I had that group of people that really just want to come to work and do their job and go. And I used to think, oh, why can't they be more like the others, you know, be in competitions and do stuff and being, you know, want to be part of shows and teams and stuff like that. I must say I felt after a while that I had to slap myself a bit and realise that everybody's different.
That's never bothered me because I've always looked at them, they're my steady eddies that keep the salon afloat.
Yeah.
While my big guns or my team that love all the stage work and everything are away. And I'm glad that they're not all like that for that reason. Because I've got in all my shops a steady foundation.
Yes.
Where they just like doing their work. But our ethos is they must do training. We always have training.
Yes.
So once a month, all the seniors have cutting training, always. And if they're a little bit weak on anything, then they bring it to Wednesday evenings where all the managers do Wednesday evening training, as well as now how my training has changed. We do a full day. So going back to what I was doing where we used to do half a day, we do a full day. Tuesday and a Wednesday, we split the group. So half the juniors have a Tuesday, half have a Wednesday, a full day. And then Wednesday evenings, the managers train all their seniors. If anyone's a little bit weak on a bob or long hair. And every month, the salon has to be, everybody once a month has to stay and do a haircut.
Wow. That's good. That's fantastic.
But we've built that ethos in it. So the majority of my team are in their late 20s or 20s. They've all come through as juniors. It's very rare that I've got someone that's come from this salon or that salon.
So do you ever select many people that have come as seniors to you?
Not often.
No.
Because we all tend to be homegrown, which is good.
Yeah.
And we move them all around. And because all the juniors work on a Tuesday and a Wednesday together, so if someone has to fall short as they're like in their 20s and say, oh, so-and-so's off sick, then we can move them to that salon. But they know them because they come up together. Yeah. So it's really good like that. I mean, I've got one girl in my Henley salon that's come from Tony and Guy. Yeah. And I've just taken on a girl that came to me 3 months ago from a salon in Scotland that I taught in Scotland, and she wanted to move away from Scotland and come down south. So I've taken her on and she turned out to be fantastic.
How incredible is it that you can say out of all those staff, that they're all virtually homegrown staff?
Yeah, nearly all homegrown.
Because then you don't grow, if there's problems arise, you're going to flick them out along the way. But no one comes with a problem, do they?
No. It's quite good because we do our 3 monthly appraisals. Everything is quite tight. And our plan, because me and Simon own the business, who's my brother, who's a hairdresser. and he's 18 months younger. And we had 7 salons, and we were going to get to 10, and then we had the idea of opening up an academy. But then when he got diagnosed, it'd be 6 years, January, with leukemia, we decided, you know, what is it actually all about?
Yes, you have to think about that.
What are we actually doing this for? We've got a great lifestyle. We earn lots of money. So we cut down 2 salons, and he doesn't work in the salons no more because at the time he was told he only had 3 years, and the drugs have helped. But he has chemo every 12 hours. He has chemotherapy drugs. But he's done well, and it's 6 years on now. And they all say that as things are performing, the drugs are getting better, so, you know, it's kept him alive longer. But at that point, it was a reality check where, do you know what, do we really want this now? Now we spend more time together as a family, we have more fun together.
So trying to get that balance.
Yeah, and we've got 5 strong salons, and Simon's 54, I'm 55, and our plan is 60, that I won't be like working like I do in the salon at the moment, because I do 4 days behind the chair.
Wow.
And 2 days normally either teaching or running around the country. I am a workaholic, I love it.
Yeah.
And but my managers are all in place to take over the salons. They know what to do. But I honestly feel our business at the moment, like the Rushes, the Headmasters, the Hobbs, that have got these multi-chains of, like, I think Rush have got 50 odd salons, Hobb have got 25, Headmasters have got something like 50, but they're fighting for staff.
Yes.
We've got a tight ship, it does well.
Yeah.
And when I've spoke to these bigger companies, they'll say, why don't you open up more? I don't think I need to.
Bigger doesn't mean best all the time, does it?
And when I was driving home on the Tuesday after the British Air Awards, my mum called me and she said, congratulations. She said, it's like David and Goliath. And that was my mum saying that because she knew Tony and Guy were in it. And they've got like 500 odd salons.
Yes.
And we've got 5 or whatever. And I said to Mum, yeah, but it's not about their salons. It's about, they've only got one art director, which is Kos Sakos, who's a good friend of mine. So it's me against Kos. That's how I look at it.
Yes.
It's not like I'm taking on their whole 700.
No.
Yeah, they've got a bigger pool to pull from.
Yes.
But then my guys, I know 100% what they're capable of.
Yes.
They've done it all. They've done Fashion Week. They can do everything. They've travelled. So they're good guys. And out of all the teams, my team have been together the longest now because Hobb are broken up. Darren Ambrose's team's broken up. Rush's team's broken up. So my team is one of the strongest art teams that everyone knows now, which is great.
Well, that's amazing, and that's credit to you too.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's about who's driving the show, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think if you've got great drivers driving that business and driving the team, then you don't lose them. I always have this little adage that, you know, when you're on a train and the train stops, people want to get off. And I think that's pretty much how I relate to teams. When the driver isn't driving, then the team wants to, you know, get off, and they see the grass is greener somewhere else, which is not necessarily the case, as we know. Well, you know, it's been really great listening to you. I hope my listeners out there have got some inspiration from Bruno. I think it's just a great conversation to be had, listening to, you know, where he's been, what he's done, saying, as he said, that big is not always best, and having, you know, a tight ship, running it well and still working. I think that's one of the big keys too, you know, you being on the floor as being that person that they respect you because you are working.
But I love that part though. Didn't you, when we were working?
Yeah, I must say I did.
Saturdays, where you don't have to do anything and just do your column.
Yeah.
And the salon is buzzing and the retail's flying, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what the salon's about. And I always say to my team, if we've got a fun team, then we've got a good, busy team.
Yeah.
And it's making good business for everyone.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, because I know you had to drive an hour.
That's fine.
I was going to drive
for you, Sharon, no problem.
You're so sweet. But I'm just so thrilled that I could catch up with you, because I don't know if it's going to be till next October before I might do that again. So I thought it was just great to try and snap you up before I head back home. And, you know, I hope everybody's enjoyed it. And, you know, I'm sure there'll be a few comments there. So I'm going to sort of jump on and listen to you guys talk about this podcast. And then what we'll do is I might even come back to Bruno and ask a few questions if we need to. But until then, I hope you enjoyed my podcast here with Bruno Marc, and we'll see you again next month. Thank you. That's it for this podcast on Hairy Chats. I hope you enjoyed listening to Bruno and learned something about team building. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back again next month with a new person to present.